The Indo-European Yamnaya group of steppe pastoralists were the world's first horse riders, a new study suggests, and the evidence appears to be etched into the bones of the prehistoric riders. A paper called First Bioanthropological Evidence for Yamnaya Horsemanship by Martin Trautmann and others was published in the journal Science Advances recently. It reveals how 5 excavated skeletons dated to about 3000 to 2500 BC show clear signs of physical stress that hints at frequent horseback riding. If this is the case, then the Yamnaya are the earliest humans identified as likely horseback riders. 5,000 years ago, the ranging Yamnaya spread out through probable conquest. Their expansion altered the genetic picture in Europe and Asia, and their range was found to be from what is now Hungary in the west to Mongolia in the east, an expanse of 2,800 miles. The breathtaking change took place over just a couple of centuries. Volker Heyde of the University of Helsinki said, "In many ways the Yamnaya changed the history of Eurasia." Horse domestication was widespread by around 3500 BC for their milk and meat, but they were not ridden. There are contested claims that the Batai people in what is now Kazakhstan rode horses around that time, but there is no concrete evidence. The oldest known depictions of horse riding are from around 2000 BC. It is difficult to date when horse riding may have started because the tack and other accoutrements for marshalling and staying on the animals would have long since perished, as it would have been made from degradable materials. A broader study run by the University of Helsinki was looking at the general impact of the Yamnaya on prehistoric Europe, when some interesting discoveries were made, prompting a more detailed examination of Yamnaya equestrianism. While assessing more than 200 human skeletons excavated from Romania, Bulgaria and Hungary, bioanthropologist Martin Trautmann observed traits on one of the subject's femur and other bones that pointed to horse riding. He said it was just a kind of surprise. If it were a one-off case, he says he would have dismissed it, but he continued analysing the skeletons and noticed that several had the same traits. Trautmann and colleagues at Helsinki University examined all the skeletons for the presence of 6 physical signs of horse riding that have been documented in previous research, a constellation of traits that have been called horsemanship syndrome. They include pelvis and femur marks that could have come from the biomechanical stress of sitting with spread legs while holding onto a horse, as well as healed vertebrae damage from injuries that could have arisen from falls. The researchers had a scoring system to account for the skeletal traits' severity, preservation and relative importance. Trautmann said, "Bones are living tissue, so they react to any type of environmental stimulus." The team classified 5 Yamnaya male individuals as frequent horse riders because they had 4 or more signs of wear associated with horsemanship. 9 other Yamnaya males probably rode horses, but the team was less confident because the skeletons each displayed only 3 markers. The paper read, "The origins of horseback riding remain elusive. Scientific studies show that horses were kept for their milk around 3500 to 3000 BCE, widely accepted as indicating domestication. Here we report 5 Yamnaya individuals well dated to 3021 to 2501 calibrated BCE from kurgans in Romania, Bulgaria and Hungary, displaying changes in bone morphology and distinct pathologies associated with horseback riding. These are the oldest humans identified as riders so far. Together, our findings provide a strong argument that horseback riding was already a common activity for some Yamnaya individuals as early as circa 3000 Cal BCE. This supports other tentative 3rd millennium BCE evidence of an early onset of equines as mounts. However, because of the lack of specialised gear and a comparably short breeding and training history, early horses were probably hard to handle. It added, Yamnaya horses were markedly closer to the equid lineage known as Dom II, including all modern domestic horses, than were wild steppe horses from the 6th millennium BCE. When Dom II was bred from the late Yamnaya horses in the steppes during the second half of the 3rd millennium BCE, genes for reduced anxiety and fear response were selected and retained in all later Dom II horse breeds. Even Dom II horses can be highly strung and excitable animals, so a still greater anxiety response in early Yamnaya horses probably made them even more likely to bolt from violent or loud actions. The military benefit of equestrianism may therefore have been limited, but nevertheless rapid transport to and away from the site of raids would have been an advantage, even if combat was carried out on foot. Riding certainly was useful for patrolling wide tracts of land and controlling larger herds of livestock. It consequently would have contributed substantially to the overall success of pastoral Yamnaya society. That's it for this video. Don't forget to like, share, and most importantly subscribe, and you can also support the channel on Subscribestar via the link in the description. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.